Okay. When we last left our heroes.
We were being quickly ushered out the door.
Yeah. Earnestly urged to go on a field trip. I think it might even be. I think the academic potential here is so profound that I might even recommend some of our newer students go with you just to help them get up to speed on and make up some of the absence that they had from missing out on some of the earlier parts of the year. If everyone's agreeable to that, I might send along a student or two who I feel like might benefit from this effort. Is everyone okay with that? I was thinking of I'm not sure if you've met her before, but Tahi and Gothwitch. I think it would be beneficial to both of them if you'd be willing to have them along. I realize they're not part of your school
I think that
club.
they would be a fine addition to this
I'm not saying you need
work
to make them part
work
of the club, but
to this study trip.
for team purposes, for academic research purposes, it's always good to have a few extra study buddies. The
I look forward to their insight into our work.
the emotional disconnect from seeing Hellbinder's mouth make the words study buddies is really it's not comforting. Hang on one second. I think I've got one last tech support thing to answer here.
I feel like, you know, Kiln would go to say, what do you mean? Of course and someone would have to elbow them to get them to stop.
Yeah, now it's officially in the notes.
Anybody?
So who did elbow Kiln?
Okay. So
Everybody simultaneously?
I missed whatever you guys were saying. That's fine. Okay. So uh, uh, he nods and makes his excuses because he's got a few calls to make, leaving Arizella there with well, um, we have someone looking for Tahi uh, right now. Do any of you have an idea of where you might go? I can probably
I don't know. Should we tell you?
I think we can
The head,
probably.
the,
I think.
the headmaster seemed to want uh, plausible deniability.
Well, yes,
Looks
they're
over
going to
now.
ask him. They don't necessarily know who that I'm the advisor. So I mean, it's. I mean, that's entirely up to you, I suppose. I'm really. You don't have to tell me. Do you have an idea where you'd like to go? If not, I could make a suggestion.
No, I think we know what the next stop on our circuit is.
I
All
think so
right.
too, but I'm curious as your suggestion.
Well, I have a lovely summer home by the Marianas Trench. I mean, not in it, at the edge of it. I just, I mean, I wouldn't be there. That would be inappropriate. But anyway,
Sounds a bit damp.
well, I mean, we'd have to. I mean, I suppose. That's why nobody ever visits. Anyway, kind of muttering to herself. Um, Yeah, she needs to figure out some way. She needs to figure out the Minecraft trick where you can like build a house and then keep the water from coming in. Well, it just there's a should it ever come up, uh, nobody really knows
So
about.
very
So
much. That's amazing. I'm sure we would love to see it. Fortunately, we do have the underwater transportation down, so we can at least stop by.
which is why
Um,
in part why I suggested it. But if you have someplace to go and you're going
we
to
we
be all
do have
right,
we do have a study trip in mind, and we'll certainly make sure that we keep in touch as we're along here, so
mm,
you don't worry about us.
if
And we'll definitely call you if we have any problems.
you do end up below sea level and in trouble, do contact me. I have resources that can help. Tutors that would be very helpful in that situation.
That is incredibly generous of you. I think that is fantastic. Thank you.
Well, I am supposed to be the counselor, so for your group. So be safe. You've been fine. You've been great thus far. Things could get very complicated. Actually, the further away from here, the less complicated they're likely to be. Famous last words,
Yeah.
says the GM. But nevertheless, and right about then, like, Tahi kind of puts herself at sort of standby mode just outside the door of the Fortress of Attitude, just kind of waiting out in the hall. Arizella kind of sees her and, oh, Tahi. Well, I suppose I shouldn't be inviting her in. It's not my place to invite anybody in. It's not my place. I'll excuse myself. You guys be safe. And yeah, just be safe. And kind of escorts herself out. Tahi steps just to the edge of the door and, looks around. Mostly at Kiln, I think, sort of checking that this is actually, like, clearly she was given instructions to come here, but not 100% sure. She checked kind of with Kiln and Met more than the rest. Doesn't
I will
really
say, if
pay a lot of
if
attention to Roddy.
if Kiln isn't speaking up, I will say, welcome to the Fortress of Attitude. Come on in. With a giggle.
Fortress?
Inside joke.
This is irony or sarcasm? The words seem to be largely interchangeable, at least in daily
I think
usage.
you'd
I'm still
have to ask
processing most of the language.
Roddy on the intent there, but come on in. We're glad to have you here.
Yes, why am I here?
Because we're leaving.
Is Gothwish there too?
Yes.
We're going on a field trip.
Gothwitch, and she does get like sort of a querying glance, but not much of one. They actually, she sort of nods to Gothwitch because, I mean, it's been a little while. She's aware of Gothwitch as a student in her classes. Like, she's one of the other kids in her class, so she's kind of nominally aware of Gothwitch. I don't know that they would have necessarily done much more than like been in the same classroom together, but she in a lot of the same classes with her, so that kind of. I'm sorry, we're going where?
Field trip.
And I'm supposed to go with you, or I'm supposed to stay? And she said, I'm supposed to stay here, and she's
we wouldn't
clearly.
ask that of anybody.
I want to make it clear that the word here is very clearly meant to indicate this room, and that she's not very excited about that prospect.
But we'll defend it against anybody who tries to enter. with
I mean, if she's asked to, I suppose that's true. But
Let the boys get to you.
I,
Um,
I, but I am supposed to come with.
because of some, well, there's some recent events that, let's say, dictate that we should be away from campus for a while. And
Did I do something?
not you, us.
Oh,
Uh,
and
and
I'm being punished for your actions?
No, it's more like a protective leave.
it was determined that it would be best if 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 you would join, you and Gothwith would join us on our study trip, um, and kind of pursue some of the work that we've been doing around. Is there a word I can use to imply, the Jim Patrol work that's not that she understands, that's not too specific to anybody potentially overhearing it?
Um, research? Maybe?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's related to the group research that our team has been doing. So
And
um,
but you're not doing it here. Oh, I am a
yeah,
holy relic.
kind of like, when we met you on our study trip.
Do you want to go meet another temple guardian?
I think maybe we should have this discussion once we're underway.
That was kind of why I was thinking.
Yeah.
So basically, we're going to be gone for a bit. I think the sooner we leave, the better. So I don't know how quick everybody is at packing, but I think if we could meet at the Excelsior in, say, 30 minutes, is that enough for everybody?
Tahi says, I have everything needful with me as such, in that I do not require anything additional. And then she kind of looks a little bit at Gothwitch, just as the only other person who isn't sort of part of the group. And Gothwitch sort of goes, my blood is full of potential. I can summon anything that I need. I'm fine. Let's just go.
Well,
The whole my blood is full of potential thing is clearly something that has been like, it's like a rote ritual phrase that has been drilled into her like forever, that she is 110% sick of. It like a really bored Slayer going, into every generation a Slayer is born, and that Slayer is me. Blah. My blood is full of potential. I can summon anything that is needful. I'll be fine. Let's just go. Unless you
so
need to pack.
I need to pick up, based on our previous study trip, I think I want to pick up a change of clothes, bug repellent, and sunscreen.
Oh,
Bug repellent not being something that I was at all familiar with before our last adventure.
yeah.
No bugs on the spaceship.
Roddy's probably gonna need
So
some eyeliner or something. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I could also bring some bug repellent, but my bug repellent is a lot more like a sword than spray.
To be fair,
Ah!
your bugs are a little bit more sword sized. So
No, I can see Kiln sitting there at a table and just like the sword flickers out. There's like a little flash like you would get from the mosquito getting too close to the bug zapper.
a little lick of flame.
Yep.
Zit
Flick,
zit.
flick. Just absently.
All right. We don't need to go into particulars as what you guys are all grabbing, but you can go and grab stuff and meet back at the ship.
that was as much for the others.
Sure.
A change of clothes.
Alex grabbing whatever like bullet-resistant hard cases carry electronics that they need.
Hey,
or
Alex, are you
whatever.
getting the tendies?
It seems like better play.
Maybe.
Very.
Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. Who's bringing the tendies?
Kiln brings them.
Why?
They're never going to make them to the ship. So. More importantly, does the Excelsior have a microwave?
Something like that.
Like a toaster oven. More like a toaster oven. But
Yeah, alternating magnetic fields can heat matter in
oh yeah,
between.
like an induction stove.
Mm-hmm.
Like a magnetic
Only
induction stove. I want one of
I
those.
think most of us could come up with some way to heat them if required.
Fair enough.
I mean, we have a kiln. That
So-
generates
Oh
heat,
my
right?
god. Oh my god. Let's
I don't know. I was thinking of Alex with like a little pop-out drawer somewhere for a
I
little
mean,
warming tray.
Let's be clear, I'm only bringing snacks if nobody believes I'm bringing snacks. Because that way I got. Okay.
if
I
you
love it.
have
joke.
snacks and they know you have snacks, they will then ask you for snacks, which defeats the whole purpose of bringing snacks.
There
So
you go.
what I've got is Schroeder snacks. I may or may not have them.
You got any snacks I can borrow?
I
don't
can
know.
foresee that if we ever get an upgrade on the Excelsior, it's going to be a food
Food.
replicator.
I think that's a base upgrade. All right, we'll upgrade the Excelsior to a base. Nobody says they have to be stationary. Anyway,
Because really, what's the point of upgrading our base
I
here?
wonder if you could. I mean, I have to look back at the base stuff and see if there's any particular thing you'd have to get to really kind of reflect something like a helicarrier. I've never really looked. I in all this time I've never looked at it and said I want to build a base that moves, because you're not really often mobile, like world trotting. It's not the default masks thing, so it never really occurred to me, but it'd be kind of fun. Anywho, all right. So Alex Schrodinger's supply satchel, kiln, chicken tendies and cooking implement, also known as weapon. Gothwich is fine. Tahi's fine. Joe, are you packing anything? What are your immediate emotions about this? Because I mean, well, you need to figure out what you're doing first. So, are you grabbing anything in particular, or are you just good to go?
I
Let me ask a
I'm
different
gonna
question.
I'm gonna go I'm
Go
gonna go
ahead.
back to my room and grab 3 pairs of pants.
While you're there, or while you are doing that, I will ask this question. On the possibility is fairly strong that you end up going back to wherever all this stuff happened to you in the first place.
Mhm.
So my question to you is there any memento of that time that you have kept around that you would grab and bring with? Just for this, not because it's going to be like this will be the key that will unlock the door on Doomsday,
Right.
but like just the thing that's like I kind of want to have it with me because it was with me before, and security blanket.
Um, this is gonna sound really weird because essentially I ended up with nothing. I mean, you know, um, anything I had was taken by the folks that held us captive, and when I was found, I was basically there, a giant gorilla.
Yeah,
Um,
a great ape.
but I still have the plastic hospital band that the Quill Medtechs put on me.
Okay,
I'll just tuck that in a pocket.
sure. Just for the sake of, I like
Or
that. I like it. I mean, the odds of it being useful, some number approaching zero. But that's not the point. The point is You're going back to where you got that basically, so why not take it with? All right, cool. Roddy, anything in particular you're bringing along for this shindig?
At Met's request, deodorant.
Oh, that's right. There was a lot of.
Oh God, we're gonna be stuck in
With two
the
extra.
Excelsior with the guy who's probably spraying body spray all over himself.
I don't know if Roddy's an Axe body spray kind of guy.
Oh, I do.
Not after what happened with Powertronic.
Oh yeah, that probably.
Just can't get that smell, or just can't disassociate that smell.
Oh, the idea that a grown man.
Look at his body armor.
Branded.
Body armor.
Branded. There's a tie-in.
Powertronic, Powertronic body armor body spray. God dang. Oh God, I want to do the voiceover for that too.
Thank you. That will be my one contribution.
I spend hours in this power suit, and let me tell you, when I come out, I'm less. You'd think that I would be less than fresh, but luckily I've got Powertronic body armor body spray.
Well, we know that Tony Stark wears Axe, so.
Does he?
Yeah. Ant-Man asks him, "Is that Axe body spray?"
So good. Anyway, although to be fair, with the snark coming off of Ant-Man, the odds there are pretty good that he knew it wasn't and was asking just to bring Tony down a notch.
No, Tony Stark confirmed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I keep a can in my desk for emergencies."
Nice. I did not know
Sure,
that.
he's running around inside it. He's running around inside of armor for like hours to days at an end.
Again, yeah, I get that. I miss
What,
that
build in
exchange
an
somehow.
AC unit like they did in the later Star Wars costumes?
I mean, I think you'd still want it.
It's end game when they go
Yeah.
back to the first Avengers movie.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Have to rewatch that at some point. Not today. Okay, so yeah. You start to pick up the can and go, no, nope, mm-mm.
As long as he doesn't go for something like sickly sweet like patchouli and revolt against the axe. I know he's gonna be an Old Spice man.
I hope not. Tom's of Maine. The one that makes you smell like Mountain Dew. Anyway.
Not a good thing.
there's I think this is on purpose, but there's like a deodorant. Tom's of Maine. They do like the deodorant that's like it doesn't have any aluminum in it or whatever.
Oh right.
And one of them is really really good. There's one that's like a forest one that like my whole family basically votes buy all of that. And we went to the store one time. Right, my mom, my where did I get that? Somebody got it for me because I was like, could you grab this when you go to the store? And they got the wrong kind. And it's called, I think, Mountain Spring. But it's a very tongue-in-cheek name because I swear to God, it smells exactly like a bottle of Mountain Dew. And they bought me a 3-pack of it.
Anyone want to smell like Mountain Dew?
I mean, it's got a fresh smell, but if you just smell it like at the thing, it smells like Mountain Dew. And I'm sure that they know that because they called it like Mountain Mist or Mountain Spring or something like that. I like they were just like, wow, we hit something that smells exactly like Mountain Dew. Can we call it Mountain Dew? Yeah, I don't think we can probably get away with that, but we can get close. Just like a head nod that way. Anyway, all right. So in the Excelsior, the ship, we see the shot of the ship like hitting water and that sort of trail of bubbles as it goes off into the water. And then we cut to inside And
Actually, for the distance, we would probably go suborbital.
right, but get away from
Right, once we get out.
yeah,
Okay,
get
gotcha.
away from the idea being get away, and then once you guys hit the water and are kind of like going, and Gothwish is kind of looking out through the front window a little bit and kind of goes, cool, and then turns around. Okay, secret boys, what's the deal? Like, where are we actually going? Where have we been
We're going
kidnapped
to
off
where
to?
they made Joe.
She tilts her head in this kind of like something between I slept wrong and my neck has a terrible crick in it and did I just hear you right? And she says, Maid Joe? If anything I'm about to say is accidentally offensive, Joe, I'm really sorry, but what?
We do one of those weird reverse focal length things on Joe, sitting against the bulkhead. Um, uh, well, maid is maybe not a cool word, but I don't know that there are cool words for having a consciousness transplant into the body of a giant gorilla
Intelligent.
person. And thank you. Intelligent giant gorilla person.
Giant.
I mean, wow. That
Have a little bit of better speciation there.
I mean, you
Uh,
might be normal sized.
no,
So
he is not. I mean,
okay,
he's not. Just I don't have a lot of zoological expertise, but that is
Well,
you're much larger than any of the great apes that I have ever seen, Joe. So,
and that's why I don't think he's a great ape. He's a different species.
great ape, great grand ape,
So
great ape, grandpa
well,
ape.
not
okay,
human anyway. Let's
I have no offense. I'm not trying to like be that person who always like tries to one up people, but I do have some experience with consciousness transfer that I'm not super happy about. This is Gothwitch.
right.
Uh, I mean, you're still you. I'm still me. You better still be you because I'm still me and I'm clinging on to that, okay? Sometimes it doesn't exactly feel like it. It's kind of almost like a reverse from what you've got going on because it's something else's consciousness in my body and it's your consciousness in a different body. And I get that. That's weird. Not exactly the same thing, but we're still us.
thank you.
I mean, I've had that
Yes,
argument
but
before with lots of people and fuck them. So we're still us.
yes, but you still have the other body and get to go back and
You've been in the city. I mean, I've seen pictures. You go out. You don't always look super happy about it, but I've seen way weirder stuff walking around like shopping downtown than you. You're okay. I've just literally used up every single comforting thing that I'm likely to say this week on this one conversation, so I'm going to stop now. But uh,
Well, I'm glad that Joe can hear it from somebody else, and maybe he'll listen to you more than he listens to me.
I mean, is he anything like Roddy? Because the answer is going to be no.
Joe's glancing. Joe's looking over at Met. Now he's looking over at Robbie.
uh, so where is this? Like, is it like some sort of secret lab
So,
thing,
so
or
I'm gonna back up and give a little bit more um, little bit more history for them.
Okay, we'll skip that bit. So like, this is a long trip. So we're going to a different continent. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to be going to Africa, and explain how it's related
Sure.
to the Temple of Kilns people and how it's the site of where the generation ship that I was on was launched from. There's a lot of stuff that all kind of congeals, um,
Coalesces?
Coalesces.
coalesces. Thank you.
Collides? There's a lot of words that come into play there. They have a spaceship? The giant gorillas have a spaceship? Or is that
Uh,
that is like something else and that isn't there yet? Are we gonna land and see a spaceship?
so no,
Maybe.
Not helping.
no, ship is not built. Well, at least not the ship I grew up on. It's not built yet.
Oh.
So you know, there's that.
But we already
Um,
know there are differences.
correct. Um, so I would say that um,
So
the timeline is as I know it would indicate that um, this is a location of power and a spot where the
Gothwitch is like frowning and focusing. Like listening, frowning.
um how would I put it?
A focal point? Uh uh
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a focal point or just or a power source in and of itself. But the key point is that we need to get there to find out more about.
so are you going to work out your future past thing, the thing with Joe or Kiln's temple thing?
Yes. So they're
And right
related.
when you say yes, like at the exact same breath, um, Tahi says the temple, like over top of you, like right mixed in with you, because for her the answer is priority.
Always
The
the
priority
temple.
list is different. There is an awkward pause after she does that, and then she says, "And also Joseph's problem, probably."
So the the entity that um took over oh gosh, I'm gonna lose his name now. Um
Flubis? No,
no,
Golem.
Gollum, thank you. Um you know, is related to Kiln's history, um, and which is related to the temples, which is also related to my future history.
Please tell me that whatever did that to Golem is like a bad guy from where you're from.
The it's the great enemy of my people.
Good. I mean, not good, but like good. Because I wouldn't want to be. I mean, it would be awkward if I was kicking the ass of like an ant or something. Like, can't punch this thing. Makes me much happier. Uh, cool. Okay. Are we swimming the whole way, or what are we? Not that this isn't
Um,
cool. This is totally cool, but
no, this particular craft is actually designed more for for space travel. Um,
oh,
I don't ask me how it does it because that's not what I know. Um, but
well, I mean,
you
it's
know,
pressurized right now, so it's probably fine in vacuum too, which is wrong, but she doesn't know that. So
But basically, once we get out of where they're populated areas, we'll take a much faster suborbital route.
Cool.
She is much more nimble. Uh,
And while she's saying cool and giving you a thumbs up, she also lets out like a just a jaw cracking yawn. It's
when's the
like,
last time you slept?
uh,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
what days?
Um, yeah. So I
She's been
tell
under a lot. It hasn't actually been like that long. It's the same
yeah.
day, but it's been today has been
Yeah,
an emotional roller
there's
coaster.
sort of like a bench towards the back that kind of
All right,
doubles as galley space and things like that. And
cool.
I
I'm having it.
indicate to the others that they need to give her some space.
I'm just gonna go back and do. Yeah, I'm having that bench. All right. And she kind of shuffles off. What is my role in all of this? And this is Tahi. Who did she direct this to? I think, oh, question. Kiln, I think, probably by default. What is my role in all this? Am I here to speak with the temple?
I mean, it
Have
it
we
will
explained
be.
that she is the architect? Have
To
we gotten
her?
beyond? Yeah.
I I don't
I know
think
we told
so.
her that she had a higher. We know that I know I told her she had purpose because I saw it in my future, but I don't know that we went.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever gotten, except for what you sort of explained to the group last time. I don't think you've ever really gotten into the idea of you know, the roles. And in the interest of making the meta less meta,
Yeah.
I would say that in your historical documents or histories or whatever that you've studied, the key players in this thing have achieved a sort of mythic naming convention, sort of to
Yeah.
assist.
It's almost like the tarot, right?
Yeah, so like when they retell the story, it's like the architect, and all the kids will say the architect, and that kind of thing. So yeah,
But I think it's more. I wouldn't be using that phrase with her. It's more, you know, that you know
yeah, I'm thinking of it in
what
terms
I
of your
know of
own like
her.
sort of mental
Yeah.
slotting for it is these roles that were always just
Mhm.
how history was explained to you, or the origin stories of all this stuff for your
Mhm.
ship and whatnot. Um, yeah, I think, like you say, I think you said she had some sort of significance, but I don't think you've ever gotten around to like, and your role was essentially you did this, or you helped with blah, or whatever.
And I'm kind of resistant to, because it's hard because in one part we're wanting to change history, but in the other part we don't want to lose you know some of this essentially good things.
Right.
So
Which, and one of the reasons I was sort of asking Kiln is like giving you guys the opportunity to answer her outside of the context of your
mhm.
memory prophecy stuff.
I will happily let Kiln field this one.
Well, I had been going to say something, not in depth.
Doesn't need to be.
It it will be helpful, at least, to have you with the temples, but uh, you know, Headmaster Hellbinder also wanted to get you away from the school and all of the not bureaucratical mess, but the
External pressures that are about to be applied to the school.
That's a
Not that
lie.
not that you would say it that way, but
Yeah, that.
how would Kiln think of it? I mean, the school is essentially doing a bit of a shell game where it pretends to be the shell that the P is under, and you know, so that they can stall with, well, we're not going to submit students for questioning, blah blah blah, and then hold out this. Then we finally admit they're not there, and just basically stalling and that kind of thing. But how does Kiln process this in his context? Their context.
Um, I mean, probably not entirely like that. There are, you know, understands that there's some external pressures with like Aegis and the HHL, but probably underestimating the other number of interested parties and the pressure that they will put on.
Yeah. In any case, just Hellbinder thought it would be best if you weren't around right now because there'll be a lot of attention at the school or something. I don't know, something
Yeah.
like that. For right now, the idea is, you roll once you arrive, help with the temple or something along those lines, which is cool. Very well. I have curiosity about what might have happened to the temple as well, and where that guardian, what happened to that guardian, and even what happened to the group that was using the temple after the guardian's absence. The people that met Joseph, struggling for finding, and good for her trying to find a political way of saying that, politic way of saying that. But yeah. Anyway, uh,
You know how to
well,
find that temple?
I know the. Well, yes. I mean, actually, no. I would need to refer to your navigational charts, maps, and uh, triangulate that or align that. That's not the right word. Calibrate that with the location of my own temple against your maps, but I know the location of all the temples relative to my temple. I just need to lay that out into a map of the land masses as they exist today. And those that are still on land masses that exist, assuming the land hasn't shifted too much, should be where they have been. Except in continental drift, I suppose, but that's minuscule over the course of a mere 5,000 years.
So here's where I look over at Alex.
Map?
Maps.
Maps?
On the map, on the map,
Apparently, we're
on the
supposed to
map.
pack a globe.
Well, or something. I mean, it doesn't really, could be anything.
I was gonna say, doesn't somebody have a tablet they can just pull it up on?
I saw the coolest thing. I should have put it into the inspirational thing. I probably won't see it again, but it was up on. Some guy was doing like a presentation of like the COVID cases versus hospitalization rates, death rates. I think it was hospitalization rates, or no, it was death rates. But it was a big not a bar graph, column graph or whatever. But he wasn't putting it up on a screen. He was doing a presentation. He was clearly running it off of his phone, but it was hanging. He somehow managed to render it so that it was showing up on the table that he was standing next to at just in open space, transparent. So he's like walking back and forth through it and stuff like that. It was just out there, like just sort of hanging whether he'd superimposed it. I think he was running it at the time, but somehow it was showing up on the video that they'd recorded. It was really cool. Um, very neat sort of virtual presentation type thing, holographic map of the Death Star kind of deal that was I don't know, looked pretty wicked. I should have set it up there as like one of the general inspiration things because it was neat. Neat and Alex like, it seemed like to me. Or at least a cool trick for them. That I'm gonna you guys can figure out exactly what that would look like, but before we figure out how to or whether there's any problems with getting to the temple, I want to see how cleanly you guys get away from all of the watchful eyes around Halcyon City. So, Matt, could I have you unleash your powers? And I don't know if you have any moves for that. Basically, it's overcoming an obstacle. The obstacle being like, all the various watchers who might notice your departure and do something about it, or tail you or whatever. How clean your getaway is. I don't know if your vehicle gives you any benefits in that regard, or
That's
if you
what I'm
have
just
any,
gonna look
yeah,
at.
if you have any moves to that effect, anything like that. I mean, there's a Nova Flare, for example, that basically goes, if I've ever been anywhere, I can just go there. And when you have sort of an I win button like that, I probably don't have you overcome a thing. I don't think the vehicles necessarily have any of that
Yeah,
necessarily, unless you have
yeah. So
stealth.
no, I mean the big thing for me is that I can when piloting your craft, you can use it to invoke your powers directly. Invoke your powers directly engage or defend using superior.
Gotcha. Right. The thing lets you. Gotcha. It lets you use some of your stats. Like, you're right. Cool. Perfect. Not necessarily what we're looking for here, and unless the ship has the camouflage attribute, which is one of the options, but I don't think was
But
one of the
but
ones you
it
picked.
no, we actually have an additional plus that we haven't chosen yet that we were kind of holding back on. Regeneration is the strength that
Gotcha.
it
And you
has.
you had another strength that you could pick up. I mean, if
Yeah.
you want to make it easy and but still cinematically cool, this would be a lovely time to unveil the camouflage ability, and go all invisible jet before you go up, like leave the water. Um, or we do a roll. I'm good with either one of those things. Either we nail down the attribute that we haven't defined, or we do a roll for it.
People think.
It's a perfect opportunity to map that power in.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
I didn't hear what Margie said. I only caught like the half of one word. So if it was I need to think, then that I heard ink. So
I
if
know.
it
I said, what does everyone
oh, what
think?
does everyone think? That's yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like Dave's point's a good one, certainly.
Well, we left it there for a reason, so let's go ahead and take it.
Mm,
Do you
jam.
still want me to
That-
do a roll just to see how awesome we are?
I don't. I mean, I don't know. We can. You can simply tell me how. Yeah, the whole. Nice. Yeah, and James quickly found the helicarrier cloaking
Yep.
trick. Very nice. Well done.
I just pulled that one up.
Nice.
He beat you to it
Ha!
Got
again.
in there, just quick, like bam. All right. So yeah, that's when we like. Okay, well, are we gonna be safe getting out of here? And Mets just. I mean, do you say anything cool before you push the button and like fade out, and then
Um.
we see the invisible splash out of exit out of the water?
Well, I think we have to remember that this is sort of a found craft, right? So it's not something that I know all the ins and outs of.
That's fair.
So I might just say something like, "Oh, oh, this should help," and
That's what those icons
I
mean.
didn't even think that. I didn't even. Oh, that can't be what this is for. There's no way that would work in a power plant that small. I mean, that can't be plink.
If only
Well,
we had a stealth field. Light goes blink, 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 blink.
yeah. Was it the thing in Farscape with the one ship that only really got useful, and once Darko realized that he had to swear at it, sort of. Like he had to be using the old language, and the only words that he knew in the old language were like basically the curse words his grandfather used to use or something.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like that.
Anyway, but yeah, it could be as simple as like you kind of going, trying to map it, the way you would map your ship and go, well, that can't be what that is because that would only work on something with a much
Well,
much
and
heavier
also
duty
because
power
it's
plant.
not like something that would be used in space.
Right.
I mean, so my only view of it would be if it was something that was designed to stealth something inside the ship, which would be fairly unusual.
I know what this is for, but that's only for something internal, not external, except it's clearly in the external panel. So, I don't know, maybe? Blink. Cool. In any case, the idea of like sort of exploring it just to get a general idea. Probably while you're in the process of figuring out how to get the bloody thing suborbital. Getting everything kind of laid out so you're not, accidentally or under priming the engines and stuff for that super tough stuff. I like it.
You're saying that instead of rising up out of the water and then turning invisible, we turn invisible, then rise up out of the water.
Yes. Yeah, you figure it out and go, okay, well, we don't have to worry so much about making sure that we get into suborbital so quickly because I don't think anybody's going to see us. Anyway, all right. So the thing I had been thinking about, and Margie sort of obviated the need for any kind of overcome or sort of unleash your powers, I guess, with regards to the exit, the leaving. I kind of like Alex for using their abilities with Tahi to figure out how to pinpoint this other location. Now, Alex also already has kind of a shopping list of other places to check out because some of the stuff there were, as we had kind of talked about on the forum a little bit, there's some flight histories and some stuff with Golem that would indicate where he had been most recently with everything that went wrong with him. So really, this is just adding more sort of points of light that need checking out. But yeah, again, I mean, no real idea what kind of complications might arise from this, but there may be some stuff out there that could be not looking for anybody to drop in for a visit. So if that works, I kind of like the idea of Alex doing the let's work with Tahi and figure out where we come down for this thing. Suborbital, you weightless at that point?
Yeah.
Neat. So if Tahi's, I'll ask Alex this. If Tahi's basically saying like, I can tell you where all the temples are at, I just need to get something to compare it against, starting with wherever my temple was in the first place. What can Alex do to provide that?
I mean, Alex has tapped into GPS. They have the worldwide map that they've already been using to locate other temples.
Right.
So, like, all they need to do is basically show Tahi their program and say, okay, this is the area that I think it is. Here's what environmental conditions they're like. Here's satellite footage of that area. Here's landmarks that you might recognize. Here's all this stuff.
Is it the kind of thing where you're pulling out a screen out of one of your
Yeah, I got a
cases or
tablet. Yeah, I
tablet?
just got a tablet PC, and it's like, here you go. Look,
Yeah,
here's what you need.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, perfect, perfect. So you and Ty have sort of ensconced yourself along like one of the side benches or something like that, and um, I don't know if Alex would necessarily be surprised or just file it away as a little extra piece of information. I mean, certainly it's not technology that's beyond your hands either, but her fingertips are apparently capacitive touch. Like they work for the tablet. Like she doesn't like have to sit there and go, you need to scroll for me because my fingers won't activate the screen. Whatever she is works, which isn't really that surprising because your hands are the same way. You're, artificial limbs or whatever. But one more thing to kind of file away there that whatever her stuff is. Yeah, let's see how well she deals with all the with the tech and everything like this. So I'm just going to basically do this as if you can do this as a unleash your powers, mostly to help facilitate Tahi mapping this to current info and scrolling through the screen and everything like that. It's if we can do that just to get an idea, um, or anything that she may forget to mention with you know pesky problems with surface to air temple missiles and things like that. Who can say? Bloop. Ooh, interesting. Now Tahi can. Okay, so obviously Tahi can help. Obviously Met can help. Lots of people can help. Having it not be a 6 is easy. Um, having it be a 6 is also cool. Probably. Not because you guys were, and I'm not leaning in the direction of like, well, Alex can't make technology work and Tahi is too dumb to work out how the tablet is, but some other completely unforeseen complication comes up with the approach that's selected or something like that. Barring that, we just bump it up to a 7 and kind of avoid the major complications.
I would like to throw in you know Met's obsession with calendars and timelines and time to provide some of the adjustments.
The calibration of Tahi's knowledge versus what Alex has as sort of present day
Further refinements.
stuff. I like that. I love that. I love that, and that leans me certainly in the direction of the 7 to 9 kind of thing, just because it's fun to have Met kicking in that extra thing to get it up to 7, which is easily done. Alex, are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. I don't want to rob you of your potential. All right, we'll get rid of one of those pointos and overcome. No, directly. No, unleash. Overcome an obstacle. Reshape your. Okay, so the 7 to 9 is it. I mean, it's pretty familiar. The 7 to 9 either mark a condition or I go into how the result is unstable or temporary.
No, I'm gonna mark guilty for having to work with Tahi to find a replacement temple to replace the one she blew up, or I blew up.
It's
or the moose blew up,
I
or
mean,
whatever.
it's interesting. I mean, because yes, you called down an orbital strike. That temple was definitely not going to get its full resale value long before you called in the orbital strike.
Yeah, but since then, literally everybody's been leaning on me, so I'm taking it.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so yeah, you put a lot of effort into it. Uh, uh, One of the thoughts that I'm having here is that like uh, when it comes to providing tech support, Alex may not be necessarily the most patient person with those who aren't immediately technologically adept, and maybe they summon up an extra level of patience, understanding, and explanation, for Alex, or for Tahi rather, to as part of sort of manifesting the guilt that they, it's like she's been through a lot, and because of that, I'm going to just bite my tongue, lay off the snarky comments of, for the neo-Luddites that I have to deal with on a daily basis, and kind of thing, and just because of all the bad feeling that you got going on back there. That's the thought that I
As
had.
someone who's done actual phone tech support for actual Oklahoma farmers, I know how it goes.
How you have to stay calm, yeah. One of my
Not only stay calm, but you must understand that you're not speaking the same language that they are.
truly, truly true. Yes, I came into tech support on the cusp of Windows 95 releasing, when we went from Windows 3.1.1 to 95, and the release of Windows 95 and its publicity led to a lot of people who had never had home computers getting home computers for the first time. People who never normally want in areas, and I was working with Gateway at the time, which they literally had a cow print on the outside. They were pointing themselves definitely at the aesthetic of people that, yeah, it's okay to get a computer. It's got a cow on the side, kind of a whatever. And as a result of these people who, like, maybe their wife worked in an office, so she was comfortable with a computer, but the husband definitely wasn't. There were a lot of tech support calls when they first got that box, and this wasn't back when they were very good at shipping computers. So cards came loose from motherboard slots, and connections came loose, and chips even broke loose. So the shipping was not good for computers back in that time. So you had a lot of problems right out of the box, and people didn't necessarily know how it worked. And a lot of those, I feel your pain is what I'm trying to say, because I had a guy one time who was trying to determine whether or not his 5.25-inch floppy disk was not working because it wasn't getting power, and to test this, before he called us, pulled the power cable off the back of the 5.25 while the computer was running and licked it.
Oh.
And then he called us. Doyce, I got to tell you, I'm a little shook up right now. And it took him about 10 minutes to explain why he was shook up. I talked to a lot of people who thought that my name had 2 syllables. Doyce?
Yeah, that's because they're from the Sayal,
Sayal.
which also has 2 syllables.
Yeah, it was that guy was, yeah. There was that guy.
Southerners can always put an extra syllable in a word.
There was that guy, and there was a guy from actually from South Dakota who got the computer and wanted to get it set up before his wife got home to show up that he could actually do it, and set it, and not having really worked with one, had set it up. Was having a hell of a time with any of the kind of controls in Windows. None of something was clearly up with the mouse I/O. Not working very well at all. He couldn't get double clicks to work really at all. He could barely get clicks to work. Moving the mouse around the screen apparently was just a nightmare. And his wife came home in the midst of all the, well, she's home. I guess she's going to figure out that we got it and it's not quite working right and everything like that. And she came in and started laughing. And before he hung up, what she was crying out between her laughter and I can only assume tears was, it's a mouse. It goes on the desk. You don't use your hand on it, not your feet. And then he hung up. Because he, not knowing any better, he'd set it up like her sewing machine and had put the mouse down below and had been trying this whole time to run it with his feet.
Oh my gosh.
So the fact that he was able to click at all was honestly
Pretty impressive.
I just can't figure out why anybody would do something like this. He was so angry about that mouse, I couldn't figure out why. Those were the top 2 with a bullet moments where I had to just, well, the one guy hung up on me, but the other guy I had to just mute because I couldn't talk to him without laughing in his face, and he had just electrocuted himself, and it just didn't feel like that was appropriate. Self-electrocuted himself. The fact that he didn't fry the whole system is honestly kind of astonishing, but anyway. All right. Sorry, went off on a tangent there. But yeah, Bill, you know from which we speak with the patients and stuff, and where that's coming from. That sort of guilt for the whole thing. That's great. Margie, I love the idea of like sort of the idea of the calendar. We get a glimpse of those calendar calibration moments that we saw early on in some of the other stuff. So yeah, with the idea of a little bit of continental drift and shift, mountain ranges, somewhat, um, terrain shifts, river. Actually, more than anything else, just the changes in rivers and that sort of thing, weather patterns and that kind of deal. Would certainly have some effects, but pretty much able to pinpoint kind of where it came down. I mean, some of this would be kind of like, well, where did Quill Foundation find him? But that's hard to go back and ask without raising some questions from authorities or calling
Yeah,
back to
he
Elsa.
wasn't taking notes at the time.
Where are you calling from, Joe? That kind of thing.
And I mean, you probably have enough of the history to know, where your family was going to.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I know the general area, but given that we were taken captive
Yeah.
and moved around and stuff like that,
News articles, quote, a remote area of the Congo. That kind of singularly unhelpful and often repeated.
Yeah, but I'm sure that Joe knows what his parents were going out to research. So, yeah, we would have sort of that general starting point to bullseye in from,
Yeah.
based on, all of our different ways of censoring
Yeah,
things.
lot of ways to manage it. So in any case, pretty good idea that you're coming down within a stone's throw distance, or at least Joe throwing Roddy distance away from where the temple probably should be. What kind of information that actually gets you? Who can say? But uh, so yeah, Met guides the ship down. No idea whatsoever how long a suborbital would be, but as you guys are coming back down the atmosphere, we'll say that that's more than enough to probably wake Gothwitch back up. So she kind of. So Roddy, how close now are you keeping on? What is her regular name?
Tiffany.
Tiffany, right? Tiffany. I can't.
with an eye.
I don't think she would probably respond to that well. How close now are you keeping on her? Like as soon as she starts to stir, are you heading over? Or are you, playing it cool and letting her come over to you, or what's going on there?
I don't know. I think like letting her keep her distance as she wants to right now.
So she'll come over. Actually, she'll wake up probably just as like everyone's sort of settling back into everyone's sort of settling back into seats and stuff like that. Once you've kind of sorted out where to get to and stuff like that, is probably what makes her kind of wake up. So she kind of like sort of sits up and drifts a little bit and grabs the bench and kind of leans forward. Like, were you gonna let me sleep through like the entire time we were in space? Like, this is cool. I mean, I've been in space before, but I haven't like under somebody else's power, like actually in a ship is pretty
You
cool.
did it. You were having a bad time.
Yeah, nap time is good. And ship starts to kind of go down, and she's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna hang back here because my reentry is a lot easier than this, and this is a little, and the ship kind of goes. She's like, it's a little bumpy. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't love this. I'm not a. Do you like roller coasters? I don't like roller coasters very much. She's talking a little bit too loud. Kind of. Stuff is happening. Tai's reaction.
How does everybody else feel about this?
Yeah, I'm curious. Tai's reaction is really, she's very fixated on the front viewport. Like, she's just looking at the planet. Like, she's very. But yeah, I don't know that most of you guys have been in orbit before. So how's this going?
Well, I'm glad I waited to eat the tendies. I mean, that said, Alex is actually probably used to seeing satellite photographs, and they probably have a little more familiarity with like that point of view than.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. There's this, I think, I feel like there'd be a moment of like, whether it's quickly suppressed or just set to the side, or there's that moment of vertigo of like, where you, like, there's a point where your brain for just a second kind of like comprehends we are really high up. Like, we are falling at a planet. Like, and it, whether that's set to the side or more like, and that is awesome, or just kind of compartmentalized into a little box to be dealt with later. That probably, but yeah, as far as point of view goes,
Like in the real world, I mentioned this briefly at the end of the Menagerie game. There's something called the observer effect, which is real, that astronauts experience. And if you go look it up on Wikipedia, like you can learn more about it. But
yeah,
there
that's
is
cool.
There is this profound shift in your perspective when you are in orbit and you see the Earth.
That's really cool. Is it a good bad? Is it a good? Is it a bad? Is it a just a?
Oh, it's very good from my perspective.
From yeah, I like that. I like that. So now my question is Alex the sort of person who had like read about that and was kind of like thinking that sounds pretty awesome and is kind of waiting for it to hit, or just, or are we mentioning this at a remove, saying this is probably what's happening for Alex right now?
I mean, Alex as a soldier is kind of already there. The feeling that you get from the observer effect is that like these partisan divisions and these geographical divides and all this stuff don't really matter anymore. If you heard Carl Sagan's quote about the pale blue dot, like it's that experience. You look at this and you're like, this is everything. This is everything we are and everything we've always fought for and everything that we have cared about. It's all right here as a single thing, and it makes you want to keep take care of it and protect it and just what for our perspectives in this game, be a hero.
And of course, that kind of guardian POV is kind of how Alex approaches things anyway. So it's more of a reinforcement than a realignment. Is that accurate?
Well, and I think for somebody like for Met, this is everything that she's fighting for, having lost it once before.
Yeah, I like that. What about Joe? Is it more just like this is the shittiest roller coaster ride of all time, or are you having more of a profound?
Joe's probably vacillating between this whole weightlessness thing is really uncomfortable and kind of really being inside his head right now.
Yeah. Is it uncomfortable? I have to wonder if like not having all that mass is more nice. Maybe not though.
Oh, I'm sure that getting used to it, probably he would be, much more comfortable, especially in a more open area.
Mm.
But for the moment, it's more like, oh, this feels like I'm sort of constantly falling. Kind of,
not fun.
Not.
Less fun.
We'll declare that he doesn't like actually lose his lunch all over the interior
Sure.
of of the ship, but he's not happy about it.
Yeah.
In between that and just, yeah, he's not happy about it. He's not happy about the current situation as much as he wanted to press forward to this. I'd rather dialogue that than just kind of make the meta observation.
No, yeah, that's totally fine. I will say for Roddy, or I'll say to Roddy, the experience of space travel is a long series of precise timing moments, which is kind of pleasant. I'm wondering how Roddy presents externally versus how he is feeling internally on this whole thing as you're coming
Well,
back down to the planet.
well, considering what Gathwich said to Roddy during their conversation, he probably woke her up by accident by being like, "Fuck yeah, space."
So you are totally into this for the actual space travel part of it, not so much the pale blue dot, but just the awesomeness of being in space.
I'm in space.
Is that am I grokking that correctly?
Oh, that's probably part of it. I mean, let's face it. When has Roddy ever acted like he wasn't 12?
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So ship's coming down. Uh, landing.
What about Kiln?
Oh, I didn't even. Sorry, Kiln. My bad. Yeah. What about Kiln? How far outside of your experience is this?
It reminds me of the time I wrestled with the giant vulture monkey.
Of course it does. I mean, that sense of weightlessness is pretty much when it throws you up in the air and then waits for you to fall back so it can snap you into its maw. I mean, it's the same kind of feeling. It's just continual.
Yeah.
And the
You know,
maw
the
is just the
jostling.
entire planet.
Also, you were probably on heavy drugs at the time, so
When you were fighting the vulture monkey?
it was a ritual thing.
Oh.
Only for the, Solstice Festival.
He said defensively. It was it's cultural. So for you, just yeah, weird but familiar. Physical sensations the same, visual sensations different. Playing it
Yeah.
cool. Like it. What does this is completely this is entirely me asking a random question. What does your magic how does your magic react to not being on the world? Does it attenuate? Does it fade out? Does it need to be down in the world, or is it more of a self-contained kind of a thing?
I'd say more self-contained.
Okay. I mean, I'm not looking for I need to get him in space so he's powerless. I was build up some of that,
Yeah.
do a little bit of creation there.
But I would imagine that Teehee might be different.
Yeah, she is without a temple, she's self-contained, but without a temple, she is less than she might be by a fair margin.
I'm just thinking more like being so far away from
Her little
the different temple loci
yeah.
might be, kind of disorienting.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the reason that she was so fixedly staring down at the ultimate destination there, because for her, it's all about getting back. I mean, to be fair, her security blanket is a woven network that surrounds the planet, but it's still down there. Although I will say, and this is just a bit of foreshadowing to the whole architect thing. She finds the whole idea of the suborbital and getting away from the planet and the technology and application fascinating. She's very careful not to touch anything, but she studies everything within the ship very closely. Very, I say not closely, intently. Like she would. She's practically sitting on her hands to not touch stuff because the sense here is that she almost but not quite like thinks that she's understanding this thing and wants nothing more than to dig her hands into this thing right up to the wrists, um, to see if the potential kinship that she detects is actually a real thing. So there's a lot of the both like what's going on with the Excelsior, but also that that filing, that not like excitement, not the way that Roddy's like yeah fuck yeah space, but definitely filing this away as like a really important and new and vast thing that she's encountering that she thinks is worth knowing. Um, she may not be at her strongest, but she's running into something here that could be a super big deal for her. Um, several somethings. So, lot to file away there. She's not so rude as to reach in and start fiddling with your ship because it is your ship, but um,
And we are in space.
but yeah, that's also excellent time to not be pushing random buttons. But aside from that, had she found this thing, had she encountered the ship when it wasn't like had a name tag already attached or was in orbit at the time, would have been happily you know exploring internally.
So before we come down,
Mm-hmm.
and while we still have a view of the Earth, um, I'm gonna snap a pic with my phone
Okay.
and set it to be emailed to our advisor. Having a wonderful time. Wish you were here.
Oh boy. Okay. I love it.
Wonder we'd keep in touch.
Yeah. That may be she certainly your approach vector is not what she was expecting. Um Given where you exited the island, I don't think that she was expecting you to get into orbit, which is awesome. But in any case. All right. So, set down. Uh I don't think any of you guys are likely to make some joke about the atmosphere seems to be human stable or human compatible. But in any case,
I
yeah,
don't know. There are potential Star Trek references on board.
many, yeah, many. So yeah,
I'm not wearing the red jumper.
hatch opens, jungle smells, dampness, humidity, um, kind of hitting you guys. Who's first out? Tahi's going to be in the front three, give or take. But who's the first one out?
I would say Alex's drone is the first thing out.
I
Just saying.
Alex, is that track? I love the idea of the thing opening and like nobody immediately leaps out and says like bzzz.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Okay, who comes out after the drone then?
I can.
Okay. Kiln kind of drops. So yeah, kind of drops down. It's this is more familiar than Halcyon City, certainly. And really more familiar even than any of the areas outside the city that you've been, or more quote unquote natural areas that you've been. But between the sort of untrammeled growth, really the climate, uh, the open areas and everything like it just feels more. It still feels. It doesn't feel like, oh well, it's back to like stepping back into the old days. It's not like that. It's closer, but probably as much because it hasn't been overrun with modern things. You know, the city is I mean, from your point of view, Halcyon City is practically so new it's still in the plastic wrap. Um, and it tends to overcome everything else that you might be able to tell about a place or a space. Um, Here, you don't have that. So while the planet itself, obviously the world has certainly moved on from the old days. This is still much closer than what to your memories and to your experience of being out there. So there's that level of familiarity. It doesn't hurt that there's a lot of strangler figs around.
I'm going to note at this point, Joyce, that the last time that we were out, Alex requested from Aegis a tranquilizer gun that would work on Joey. And I'm bringing that up right now in all seriousness because,
Just in case.
yeah.
All right. So we actually, yeah, we get that shot as Alex is like sort of guiding, maybe with just like one hand. I kind of get I like the idea of, I don't know if you, like your controlling of the drone almost like your fingers, like your hands out and kind of splayed out, and sort of the tilting forward and backward and side to side is kind of how you're steering the drone. You can kind of do that left-handed a little bit while you're, so we kind of see, not like we spend a lot of time on it, but just a little bit where it's clear that sort of hand extended is kind of how the drone's being piloted, maybe. But we get to see that moment of Alex kind of checking that, like at the like little snub nosed hand weapon kind of thing right at the back of the belt, like at the spine area. You know where Scully always carried a gun on X-Files kind of location or something like that. Is that where it would be, kind of a deal, or is it something else?
I'm good.
Yeah. So we see that where they're just like checking, you know. Um that's cool. Okay, so drone, Alec Tahi coming out, stepping down. Uh and a bit of a reaction even as she sort of touches the ground and walks over near Kiln. She's less tentative. She's standing up a little bit straighter and stuff like that. Gothwitch is waiting to come down when Roddy's coming down because she's not. She's sort of here just to not be someplace else. Um, so she's less sort of immediately invested. And Met's probably the last one out just because she's sort of buttoning up the ship and making sure everything's sorted out there. Grabbing.
Actually, Joe's the last one
Joe's
out.
the last one out. I like that. Thank you. Like immediately behind Met, or is there like a pregnant pause there where it's clear that Joe is definitely coming down
Well,
slow?
if she's buttoning up the ship, then he'll have to kind of step past her to let her do
I meant
that.
more
But
like cockpit stuff. So you could easily let her go on by and let me say, is there a moment where she's like down and turns and like actually like there's a beat where she's like waiting for him to actually take the steps to come out of the thing, or are you just kind of coming down pretty
no,
close right after?
there's definitely that beat.
Okay. She doesn't have to say anything, but you still get that moment. Is that kind of what we're looking at? Like you don't really have to say anything, but there's definitely just that moment where it's clearly the thing, or is it like almost to the point where she's got to say something?
Probably moves before she would say something, just because
It would be awkward, even more awkward,
it'd be even more awkward.
if she had to. Yeah, I buy that. Okay. Um, Is this the kind of now you say the people had moved you after they captured, after they sort of grabbed you and stuff like that, that the poachers or whatever they were had moved you. Is this the same kind of terrain and environment that your family had been in before everything went pear-shaped?
Um,
Were you in a jungle environment or was it more like a
sure.
grasslands kind of a thing? Okay.
No, yeah, it probably was a jungle environment.
Okay. Cool.
More of that kind of rainforesty kind of.
Rainforest. Sure. Sure. All right. Cool. Very cool. Um, I think it's that way, says Tahi, and she seems to be sort of checking both with Kiln and also with Joe, like which is kind of a look, like just like I think it's this way, and kind of she says that to I shouldn't say check in with Kiln. She's saying that to Kiln. I think it's over there, but then she also kind of looks at Joe like for possible confirmation.
I'm not letting anybody go before drones are out there with thermographics and sound pickups and other stuff. We're not going to get jumped.
Is that essentially what you're like? I think it's that way, and we get Alex like, wait until everything is deployed, please. Is it that kind of a deal, or are you just
The drones can fly faster than them, so I think I'm just going to send my sweep up ahead and
yeah,
find out.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
well,
I think it's over that way, and you see the drones kind of bank over a little bit.
this is where we need to scout faster and farther ahead.
Yep.
Joe, any response to her like sort of unspoken like question there?
He gives a little shake of the head, shrugs his shoulders, and continues kind of looking around him to see if he sees anything familiar or anything.
Okay. Do you see anything familiar? I
You're determining that. Med gives him a little pat on the shoulder and is kind of walking with him.
He gives a little jump when she does that.
Yeah, say anything to that? Calm him down even more, or try to take him out of his own head there, Matt, or let it be?
Just let it be.
Okay. All right.
Just
Mm-mm-mm.
letting him know it's now and not then, and that he's got friends with him.
Joe, you want to say anything, or you just let the jump stand for itself? I asked this because there is there is a share vulnerability team move for you.
Ooh, is there?
There
Is there
is.
really? I should pull that up and look at it.
It's on your character
I always
sheet.
forget those things.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I think.
so do I. I'm by far and away the. If there's something muttered there or anything like that, basically you give Met influence, so she'd shift your labels if she responds at all, really, and then you've got a couple of hold that you can use to spend it like team from the pool to help her out. Help her out. Help them. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It may not
I'm
be
gonna.
mechanically. It may not do anything, but I like the moment.
No, that's fine. He looks at her and says, I hate this. I don't know what we're going to find. I mean, I never knew what might be found, but now I know I'm going to find something, but I don't know what it is. So now I have to like be the I don't know what it is that I'm going to find, but I'm going to find something.
Okay. We're all going through this together. We don't expect you to have the answers. I don't have the answers.
I don't even know what the questions are.
That's awesome. I like it. Uh, It's a good exchange. I like the vulnerability. Met, if you want, you can look at because you already have influence. So if you want, you could use that to you can shift his labels because he gives you influence again. You can shift his labels. Take a look at it if you want. You can shift something around. Um, how you see fit there, and then Joe, you've got a little bit of hold there to mess with.
Yep. Two for Met.
So Gothwitch kind of leans into Roddy, and this is back a bit. She kind of tugs even on his sleeve a little bit to kind of pull him back just a couple of steps. So, have you guys known each other a really long time?
What, like all of us?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah.
Like a year?
Because, like, this temple is where some of Met's past future stuff is at, but it's also the temple where it's from Kiln's own culture from way, way back. And it's something about how Joe, like, have they known each other a really long time?
No.
Or is this just dumb luck?
No, I think it's Met's time stuff.
Wow. I mean, you guys are, I mean, that's crazy. So what are we gonna run into? I mean, is it like
Last time it was a nuclear moose.
she just looks at you like what? It was a
I kicked it in the face.
That's his whole sum up. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I kicked it in the face. The fact that an orbital
The
strike
nuclear moose in the face.
I kicked a nuclear moose in the face. The fact that an orbital strike was called down that does not even make the summary page.
I was unconscious for that part. How
That's-
have you known?
That's
No,
fair.
he
That's
no.
true. He got bounced off of a tree. Yeah, he
I
got.
was there for all the cool parts.
He got. That's
When
awesome.
I kicked it in the face.
Alex, you are definitely getting. Okay, so a couple things you're getting. You're getting rock formations that are definitely not rock formations, and they're more ruins and stuff like that. More of a spread out. The one in Costa Rica was much more of a confined, specific structure. This one's more dispersed, so maybe I'd say more of a compound, or even larger than that, but mostly ruined, that kind of thing. Obviously, more spread out, but you're definitely getting some of the signatures that you basically, I would say, have got like some programming, some AI stuff that you've kind of, I want to say, hijacked some facial recognition software and are using it to do pattern matching for rock carvings. So it's like it's picking out, like, rather than going, this matches this matches, like a known face of a person that we're looking for, and doing that kind of facial recognition pattern matching stuff. It's like we've trained this particular neural system on the rock carvings and stuff from the rocks from the temple at the museum and the stuff in Costa Rica, and we're looking for those patterns recurring in the rocks down here, and your drone video loops and stuff are picking out that stuff out of the foliage and rocks and stuff like that here and there. You get that little that thing where, like, it's a regular picture, but then, like, the patterns on the rocks are sort of highlighted a little bit in the video playback to kind of out and show it like it's getting a scan, kind of that kind of visual stuff. So you're definitely in the right area.
Yeah. In fact, I linked an actual science paper from 2017 talking about machine learning used in geology and geosciences already. They're using it, for example, to detect gold
Really? Like like
Like
like
where real for
from density scanning and stuff like that? Like doing like that's awesome. Very, very cool. I'm sure they're probably using it for oil and stuff. In fact, I may have even heard about stuff like that. So in this
there's
case,
there's a
And
whole subfield
archaeology.
for
yeah. So definitely getting some leads that way. Other stuff that you're seeing, there are. So generally speaking, foliage. You've got some wildlife trails, pretty well used here and there through the overgrowth, the undergrowth. Um, you're also seeing some variations in the undergrowth that don't seem to be natural. And when you're, kind of get the drones on those, there are places where the undergrowth has been like sort of catastrophically interrupted. It's regrown over those areas, so you can't really see, but like where it was like, oh, it's this nice lush greenery, and now it's like this jagged, like small regrowth type of stuff, or the ground's been tore up and now it's regrowing over top of that. Um,
Did you not get it?
the signs of fighting is what I'm hearing.
so yeah, signs of fighting, things like that. Eventually, you like looking for those kinds of areas. You see at least a couple of places where there's like dug up earth. It's not. I mean, your first thought is like, oh, good, laser moose. Not laser moose. What did you call it?
Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus. But it doesn't seem to be like that scorch kind of stuff. But it's definitely like large scale damage. Like fighting took place in this area, and recently enough that it's still showing up in the undergrowth. So call it within the last year.
Okay.
For
So
sure.
what I'm worried about is the war party of cyborg gorillas with sonic spears. Like if that's a thing, let me know.
It doesn't.
What about just simple poachers with shotguns?
Damage is way bigger than simple poachers with shotguns. It's more like, I mean, if you were going to put it on a scale, it certainly seems like the kind of things that cyborg gorillas with sonic spears would be able to accomplish. Among a number of other things that may not. I mean, that's where Alex's head went first, but it could be a lot of other things. But certainly, yeah, definitely shit has gone down in the area. You don't see any signs of fatalities or people, like there's no victims laying around or anything like that. So that's a good thing, probably. Some of it seems to be maybe what you would thought might be an energy signature, like an energy weapon kind of thing, like a flamethrower or some sort of blast. Some of it looks more like, in some places, the foliage is all torn up, and it's like at the end of the torn up section, there's like a big ass rock or a chunk of ruin that seems like ruins, some sort of carved rock that seems to have been tossed or rolled and like just basically tore ass through. But the velocity for some of this stuff would have been like catapult level velocity to have gone so far through and torn up so much stuff. So definitely some stuff was happening here.
Well, first of all, I'm going to let the group know, hey, some shit went down. And second, I'm going to Tony Stark this shit and see if I can construct a crime scene.
Assess the situation? Is that what we're looking at?
But I'm going to do it with Soldier.
But you're going to do it with Soldier. All right.
Because I'm guilty, which penalizes my assess the situation.
That works for me.
So for that purpose, I'm going to basically uncheck guilty and roll superior because my Soldier is 3, superior is 1, the math checks out.
Yeah, that works. Hit it. Bloop.
Yay!
Okay. All right.
I'll take the advancement. I want XP.
All right, that works. I think
And if you don't have any suggestions on how to make this meaty, I do. So
okay. I mean, my immediate thought there is. I'm sorry. I'm just glancing at the soldier notes real quick, but honestly, I think this is different. My immediate thought on something like this is, you're assessing the situation, and the situation is actually well prepared for you, and you're going to get the drop on you kind of thing. But that's vague and hand wavy. So if you have more or different,
I like the getting the drop on me. My personal request is kind of the cyborg gorillas with sonic spears, but do what you want. Like I kind of want to meet these people sooner or later.
Oh, I absolutely do too. I absolutely do too. I'm gonna flip that a little bit because of what's been going on, and
So cyborg spears with sonic gorillas. I'm okay with that too. Like that's
Sonic Gorilla sounds so much fun. Okay, so
Sharks with friggin' lasers on their
sharks,
heads.
air sharks in the air with feathered air laser. No. Okay, let me think about this for a sec. Okay. All right. I have to go. I'm going to go to Kiln for this for a little bit. So last time we had what I'm looking, and I'm sorry, I should have prepped you a little bit for this because I gave you some time on the Stegosaurus last time. What I'm looking for are, rather than that singular platoon destroying mini boss of the Stegosaurus, the Zerg of Fluvis's. That might be a bit of a weird reference unless you've ever played StarCraft.
Yeah, can you translate that for me?
It's in the common parlance.
Not according to what James just said. So okay. So the idea of the Zerg is like you've got we playing StarCraft. You've got the Terrans who are like basically dudes in power armor. You've got the guys who are highly evolved aliens who have like crazy high technology, and there aren't a lot of them, but each individual one is quite powerful. And then you have the Zerg, and the Zerg are basically like, what if aliens had a civilization? Like the aliens from Aliens have a civilization, and their shock troops are basically a fuck ton of little dudes that just swarm over you. Okay? And
I got something.
it was to the point it actually a tactic grew out of this where people figured out that if you're working these troops against each other, you could get a quick and early win against other forces if you just went all in on getting a bunch of the little dudes together and swarming over the other guy's encampment, assuming you could find it, before he had his defenses up, because there just were so many of these little guys that they could kill what few defenses they'd gotten up and wipe out everything, and the game would be over in like 2 minutes. You got something. Hit me. Something that would be found here and may have gone kind of rotten, or could have gotten here.
I'm not sure their native habitat.
We have an image
We have an image. I got to get over to
off of roll 20.
I see. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
I'm
I
not saying
love the
Stegosaurus made me
antennae.
think, but like,
Wow, those antennae are fantastic.
Those even the antenna look like they're ready to fuck you up. Like,
He was beautiful.
yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna make them less beautiful. That's excellent. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay.
I even like the fact that there's like the big pincers, but then you can see there's like smaller grippy bumps, like teeth in between
There
them.
are also smaller ones that have like less prominent. Oh god, there are flying ones. That's terrifying. Hate this.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's like, okay, there's the point, then there's the big teeth, and then there's like little teeth.
No, I mean there's different species or
Ah,
sub where it's like you don't have the big impressive antler-esque
uh-huh.
pincers, but they're mean. They look like ant pincers as if ants were large.
That link that you provided, if you look down a little bit to the one that's the golden stag beetle, those look
Oh yeah.
like the boss guys. Like the big eyes make it look like.
Yeah, that's the one I was
Oh, and
just talking about.
almost like well krill teeth on the pincers there.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Stag beetles are ants who use Axe body spray and do CrossFit. Okay, so
that's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So,
I was staying away from ants because that felt too obvious.
no, these are good. That's excellent. It doesn't really matter. Okay. I gotta be careful with this.
The Taiwanese beer stag beetle is got some nice horns on it too.
These are good.
There are also rhinoceros stag beetles.
There's so many pretty ones. All right, so okay, let's do this. So Alex has their drones out and heading the right way. You're getting the identification thing. Okay, seeing the damage, seeing the work that had been done. A lot of damage throughout the stuff. Throughout the undergrowth and that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, we're heading the right way. Give me a second while I try to figure out what happened here. And they're about halfway through that sentence. And the multiple, I almost want to say like sort of fly's eyes vision that you've got in front of you as sort of a HUD from the various drones and stuff like that, starts to get static interference. Or at least that's how you originally read it. Like it's getting some sort of like sort of a black static on the read on the thing, and you realize just a little bit too late that it's not static. That's actual visual artifacts in their line of sight, but they're coming in. You thought it was like static because you were getting it across so many of your like fly's eyes grid that it's like, oh, the signal is getting messed up or something like that. There's some sort of interference. And no, it's just that you're getting these things in the visual uptake for the drones through so many of them at the same time. Because drone activity or whatever, has drawn the attention of a thing. These things. They hit the drones, any of the drones that are generally in the direction of the temple, basically all at once. And they may not know specifically what this thing is. As James mentioned, they fly. That's awesome. We see these things glom onto the drones at such a level that the drones themselves are basically driven out of the air from the weight of them landing. Okay, everywhere. Like they're hitting the ground. So you're seeing a lot of like suddenly the swaying in the cameras and stuff like that. You're mostly just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Then they get their hands on the actual. They actually go to work on the drones. It is instantaneous, instinctual, clearly not based on any particular knowledge they have on drones, but very unfriendly. there is like some instantaneous sort of radio frequency level feedback loops that are coming back at you, Alex. So I'm going to keep this plain and simple. They hit the drones, they hit them hard, they bring them down, and then they throw a feedback loop through you that feels like a slap to the back of your brain and have you take a powerful blow from that as you get like sort of that from like 23 different directions.
Ooh, I got a 12.
Yay! Wait a minute. Oh, that's bad. Shit. Okay. So, Alex says, hang on for a second. Let me see if I can figure out what happened. And you guys hear something out here in the forest. Out in the jungle. Like it's the buzz, the cicada buzz before the shrieking, but that rattling cicada buzz. Kiln, you immediately recognize this.
I know that sound.
I know that's
a bad sound.
How do you deal with these? What was the tactic for these things? Or what was a tactic for these things?
Fire everywhere.
So the sword comes out and you just like, I know what this is. We need fire.
Hell, I can produce fire.
I know what this is, and their sword lights up. That's awesome. Take a powerful blow on a 10 plus. Alex, you must remove yourself from a situation, flee, pass out, etc. Lose yourself or your powers in a terrible way. 2 options from the 7 to 9 list.
I'll go lose control of myself or my powers in a terrible way.
Okie dokie. It's always a fun one. Okay. I'm going to look at that one. I want to look at that reaction real quick.
Also, I took an advance.
Nice.
Potential.
All right.
One of the advances is undergo enhancement, take 2 new abilities. I figured that Alex could requisition some extra cybernetics while we were coming back from the first mission. And so I took super strength and durability and a signature weapon, which is an energy shield that can be projected from either of the limbs.
Nice. I like that. You lose control of yourself and the powers in a terrible way. It means the GM to tell you how your powers go haywire, cause collateral damage, make the world around you unstable, and all kinds of other bad stuff.
Oh, good. He has new weapon systems. Has no lose control of them in a terrible way.
Did you say strength and durability?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Those are kinds of bad stuff. Losing control of yourself means that you may do something. Losing control of yourself maybe means that you say or do something awful. Probably not that. Do something awful maybe. It's bad stuff. Losing. All right. So.
So?
Yeah, sorry. I'm. So we see the essentially sort of the attack on Alex's systems. Kiln, sword lights up, shouting some stuff. Joe, and we're seeing some stuff out in the trees. The little bugs, yeah, but there's also some bigger ones, like Doberman-sized, ATV-sized. Not super. I mean, they're not super huge, but they're big. We see Met kind of like, tensing and looking around. Gothwitch, Roddy looking up and like eyes flickering all over the place and tracking all this stuff. Tahi, honestly, not like a little bit in shock at this. Temple Guardian. This is battlefield stuff. that she wouldn't necessarily have ever encountered. So a bit in shock with this. We see though, we're focusing though on that sort of arched back, eyes, head thrown back, eyes staring heavenward kind of thing with Alex, and we cut for just a little bit, just for a sec, to back to the HHL. And Bill, I may ask you to fill in a little bit of color here, because what we're seeing here is Powertronic down in the guts of the HHL, as he's working a panel. And we talked a little bit about sort of we talked a little bit about Alex's or sorry, what Bill had sort of suggested for what's kind of going on here, and this whole like, you had him out here researching all this stuff. All this stuff has happened. Basically the shit completely hit the fan, and half of it at least is your fault, if not 9/10 of it. And him trying to desperately sort of trying to fix it. So we see him kind of in there with Golem in the stasis field, and he's kind of like in like his suit, and he's got his like some sort of like almost like pliers kind of, and has grabbed like a little spine of whatever's projecting from Golem, and has kind of snapped that bit off and has brought it back out. He's got it like looking at it. He's got out of the room, and he's sort of breathing a sigh of relief, and pulling his helmet back off, and he's got it set to the side, and he goes to set it on like sort of an electron microscope kind of thing, and he's going to look at it and everything like that. And he's looking at it, he looks at it, he's like, this is crap. And he goes back and comes around, and he comes back to it, and we see this stuff has kind of gone putty-like. It's kind of gone like almost liquid-like or mercury-like on the electron microscope, and is just kind of laying there in a puddle on the platform of the thing. And he looks back down at it, and we see in there like the platform for this all of the circuitry for this thing, and this thing's kind of like going into the cracks, and he's looking at what's happening to this thing and the way it's interacting with the circuitry, and he's like kind of sits up, and we see this face of like this realization, like, well, that's amazing, that is, oh my god. And then we cut back over to what's going over here with Alex. Now, what we're not seeing is bits and pieces of something soaking into Alex, because this is essentially an over-the-air electronic kind of thing. But I think the important thing about Alex is that the core of you is not cybernetic. Your controls are, like your shield is in your arms, you got stuff in the legs, your strength is in there, your controls for the drones and that stuff. It's all kind of extra. It's out there on the peripherals. You've got some cybernetic stuff that's up closer, but where the controls are for this kind of stuff, where you reach out to the rest of the world, is still out there in your hands and arms and legs and stuff like that. So you can feel basically that sort of body tingling, like I slept on my arm feeling, go on all of like your both your legs and both your arms. Which is like, shit, I had some kind of like, god dang it, I had some kind of feedback deal from this. Resetting this is going to be an absolute bitch. And like all that's kind of compressed into about a split second of like, oh shit, god damn it, of like I got hit by some kind of stupid EMP pulse, Stone Age EMP pulse. Except your limbs aren't collapsing. They are not stopping. They are not losing power. They are still working. You're not connected to them. Now your core systems are still intact, but your limbs are not. That's maybe a fixable thing. But the first thing that you've got to process there is that you're in that kind of arched position thing. Your body drops back down into kind of a crouch thing. The shield comes out and you pivot, leap, and crack the edge of that energy shield straight into the back of Tahi's skull. Well, you do. Your body does. And you're just kind of watching it. This is behind, and she's kind of sitting there and gaping at all this stuff, and this is what you see happen. Again, your core is still you. So, right? Chest, head, all that stuff, that's still you. Limbs, big problem. Who's back further? Roddy, you see this happen. Alex arcs, shouts, screams, whatever, comes back to it, is moving really wrong. Like, the first thing that tells you that something is truly, profoundly Exorcist 3 level fucked up is that they take like 2 steps and they don't move their arms and legs counter to each other. The left arm goes forward when the left leg goes forward, and the right, the limbs are in sync on the same side, which is just like, you don't realize how wrong that is until you see somebody try and move that way. Doesn't seem to slow them down a lot. And then they do this thing to Tahi.
I'm trying to remember what animal does that.
I don't know. I saw somebody do it on stage once in a play to like sort of demonstrate how weird, like, to be weird and just be super disconcerting. It was one of the creepiest goddamn things I'd ever seen like a person do that didn't like. They always have like people walking over backwards with their head turned around and crab walking, with their stomach in the air. Like, that's not the creepiest. That is the creepiest thing. You know what right looks like, and when the body moves wrong, it's really wrong. It doesn't have to be a lot wrong to be like the creepiest thing you've seen. It's the uncanny valley of movement.
So my core muscles are still under my control. Can I spare Tahi the worst of that impact?
You could. I mean, with your core muscles and your shoulders and stuff, you could lean back away from that. You have control of your mouth. So a little bit of a shouted warning also. But yeah, you can kind of pull some of the. Yeah, they're very dangerous appendages that can drive your core around, but if your core is fighting that, you can definitely take a lot of the punch out of that. Why don't you roll defend? Which I think you can do with soldier. Maybe.
My savior is 3 anyway.
Oh, that's okay. It's rough, but it works. Okay, defend something immediate threat. Roll savior on an 8. It costs you. Expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation. What say you?
I'll expose myself to danger.
Okay. All right. Do you want to add? You can still pick one of those things off the list. Add team, take influence over Tahi, clear a condition.
I'll clear guilty because, I'm actively trying to save her life.
I have bigger problems to worry about than my residual guilt. Yeah, we're definitely going to go after. Yeah, so the fact that you're still fighting back against this thing has made whatever is currently subletting your limbs. You actually feel that flare of annoyance isn't right. There isn't really a word for it. It's the closest to it that you can get, and you feel like that pressure from without, like whatever is in the limbs is trying to get into the rest of it through like the interface stuff like that and pressing in on that. I'm leaving that there, we're probably not going to get that. That's what's happening right now. But exposing yourself to danger, they're going to go after more of you. Whether or not they actually could is a really disturbing question that you probably don't want the answer to. No, I guess in a flash here, one comforting thing is you're not getting spiny growths all over your like mechanical parts like Golem did, so that's good, I guess. And we're gonna chop. So yeah, you do this, pull it back, and like you get that flare of satisfaction as you basically make the thing miss. Tahi moves enough. You whether you say anything or not, Tahi moves enough, and you move enough that the blow doesn't really land, and you pull back out of this and kind of staggering around, a little bit scarecrow-like ish almost, Wizard of Ozzy. The bugs are swarming in from the front. Joe is probably pretty far to the back. Met's pretty far to the back. I feel like the people that were in front were more like, I guess, Tahi and Kiln. So Kiln's up towards the front. Joe, you're kind of in the back. Roddy, we kind of already discussed what you just saw. So I'm going to go ahead.
I was going to say, I thought you asked me what I was doing, but okay.
Yeah, no, I'm mostly just kind of mentally arranging everybody in my head. So what I would like to do, and there may be one more role involved here, but I want to kind of set up what everybody's about to do. And then we'll probably have to pause there. But Roddy, you might get a roll out of this. What are you doing? What do you do?
All right. Well, last time we talked about the possibility of Fluvis being able to take over machines.
Yeah.
And this. So my first thought right now is just like, all right, time to go for disabling on Alex. Not like hurt Alex, just like disable a limb.
Or something, yeah. Have you given any thought idly, because it feels like most of what Roddy would do would be idly when it comes to giving thoughts, to disabling limbs or detaching them without their permission?
I was going to say, I don't have to know anything about that. Tatanka knew things about that, and I've seen him on TV.
So you could also say that Roddy can do something that Alex really can't, which is keep these limbs from hurting anybody long enough for Alex to signal them to detach. I put a cutscene in a while back about when we got tied up by Sergeant Surge, like the very first thing that happened in the game.
Yeah.
Where I was thinking about like emergency purge protocols and things like that. So this is something Alex has had on their mind for a while.
Yeah. I mean, and you could certainly shout that to him and say, like...
Or if I knew about it, Roddy could definitely move in to just be like, all right, I'm just going to distract Alex's arms for a minute.
I know exactly what...
Not the arm!
I know exactly what I would say. It was like, disarm me.
Oh my god.
All right.
I mean, if people weren't in mortal danger immediately, like, Alex's pop culture sensibilities would require them to say, Mein Fuhrer, I can walk. But nobody would make that joke in this group. Like, the players would. But nobody
did.
You, the player.
Player,
like,
yes.
Yeah, neither player got that.
Yeah, characters maybe not. Okay, so that's Roddy. Roddy, I'm probably having you roll a defend here in a sec. So Tahi kind of reeling. I'm kind of going to go back to front here a little bit, but Joe, what are you doing? Because if you want something to distract Joe from his current drama.
A swarm of hostiles coming in?
Indeed.
Oh, baby.
Oh, thank God I don't have to think.
Yeah, that's right. I will take a leap forward to, because I can see that this other stuff's going on and there's people doing things, which is fine. I will take a leap forward to kind of land in front of to land in front of the group and depending on the nature of how it's coming in, either working to defend these folks who are in the front or punch out anything that's of a punchable size.
Well, like I said, there's a mix. You got the
Yeah.
swarms, but you also have like stuff that is Knickerbreaker sized.
I just see him like picking up one of the big ones by the mandibles and just like swinging around like a giant,
Like a
you know.
like an a like a donkey's jawbone. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
um,
gonna say bat because
oh
Mighty
sure.
Joe Young, but hey, that's okay.
Yeah, leaping out there, I love the visual of like landing out there, and it's like sort of the mix of the Hulk roar, but also like the great ape like chest beating, like
Yeah.
just instinctive. Your body just wants to do that roar. Kiln.
I'm I am absolutely focused on the incoming horde.
That's totally fine. Your flames are going to be most effective. How should I put this? Joe's going to be able to handle the bigger things easier than the little things. And your
Good for
flames
him.
don't really care one way or the other which you're dealing with. So for you, you might be like, because those little
Yeah. Bug
buggers
zapper.
are the little buggers are, depending on how you look at it, potentially the more dangerous. Um, or at least as dangerous and stuff like that. So you've got like a mix here where you can like he goes high and you go low kind of deal, or you go small and he goes big. Um, you don't want a Legolas and Gimli competition here because you're going to win because you get to count each individual one, and that's good thing. But so he kind of leaps to the front. Do you like flank out to the side, come alongside him, use his back to vault even further into the jungle?
Um,
Step up beside
I'll
him and do a
prob
flame sheet with a burning hands. I cast burning hands.
um, I'll probably
Fireball coming online.
stay near him, so that there's a bit of a buffer between the Beatles and the rest of the people who are doing something weird behind me, but I'm a little too focused to turn around to see what they're screaming about.
Yeah. Alex is shouting something about this army. Riley's like, oh, there's stuff happening back there. Sort that out later.
We're gonna take care of business while
Yeah, while other people are taking care of other business. Matt, what are you doing? Because you've got a plethora of options here.
Well, yes, in part by being towards the back, I can of course see all of this.
Goth Witch is doing like she's like literal. I hate to she literally like reaches into her chest and pulls out, like when her hand comes out, it comes out wearing a glove that she hadn't had on before.
I'm full to brimming of potential.
Yeah, my blood is full of potential. I have all blah 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 blah. She's actually saying something like that under her breath too, which is fine. The glove, I will say though, while it is black, is discordantly sequined.
I bet she hates that.
Yep, she can't get rid of that. She can make it black, but it's going to be sparkly, no matter what you do.
Poor Tiffany.
And how many times I try. Yeah, her dream transformation is when she does the full magical gold transformation and she's done it. It just looks like her at the end. Still,
nice.
Yeah, that would be her dream transformation. Anyway, okay, so what are you doing?
So I'm sorry. Did you say that the bugs were coming from all around or from a specific?
More from ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys are headed into temple word, and certainly more from ahead. Some of them came up from out of the ground. Again, the ones that are anything bigger than the palm of your hand are basically coming at you full Knickerbreaker. Like they come up out of the ground. In some cases, they burst out of like they came out from inside the hollows of like some of the trees, the strangler figs. Whether or not they were actually hosting in there, or just hiding in there, or whatever. So you get good sized ones. I say Knickerbreaker because I know you play Lotro enough to know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
There are also ones that are more like bog lurker sized,
Yeah. Okay.
or bear sized. So yeah, they're just
Joe size.
there's just a damn swarm of them coming from the front. Um, Alex is under control, but seems to have been
Right.
their robot bits are
Potentially
being
infected.
their robot bits are being interfered with, which actually, I mean, from Met's point of view and the way she's been drilled on robot stuff, probably makes perfect sense. Is maybe even not even surprising. So you might be able to do some good there. I don't know.
So you said Gothwitch was doing okay. What about
Tahi is like down on a knee because she sort of sort of leaned and pushed and jumped a little bit out of the way, and
Okay.
is kind of wide eyed about she better in the temple because she's seeing these swarms of things that she just doesn't necessarily recognize or might recognize from archives, but has never dealt with face to face. Plus, Alex is like something's happening there, so there's a lot of wide eyed staring going on with her right now. She's too many unexpected things happening all at once. Defending a temple is a known thing. There are people coming. Don't let them in. This is like a bunch of stuff that's happening that is not expected, and she's not.
It's a more defensible position than being out in the open in the.
She's not adjusting quickly.
Okay. So what I want to do is make sure that that Sync has an opportunity to do what he needs to do.
Okay.
With Alex, and so the main thing I'm going to try and do is, kind of prevent the attacks from the sides that might impact them. And to do that, what I'd like to do is kind of, kind of have kind of like a donut around us, where the gravity is definitely pushing down,
interfering with like you're saying, keeping the bugs out of their business.
Well, and also just literally pushing them down. So anything that's flying should get knocked down.
Sure.
Okay. Anything that's trying to come out of the ground has to expend a lot more energy to do that.
Okay. I'm gonna keep you in abeyance until you're gonna be the first line of defense against whatever complications crop up from dice going awry, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah. We're over. So in lining this up, we've got Kiln and Joey dealing with offensive stuff face forward. We got some Sync essentially defending Tahi. Alex is going to be dealing with an assault on themselves. And Met sort of playing free safety. And that's where we're going to pause right here with all of this happening. And, the cover for the next the cover for the next comic, which is never accurate, is that thing where it looks like Alex is enraged and attacking, a panicking Sync, driving him backwards, and all this kind of stuff, because it's it's never exactly, it's like an alternate universe version of what's actually happening. So that's maybe the cover for the next thing. And that
Hey,
is
Joyce.
yes, sir.
Can I roll before we end?
Do you want to?
I will forget what my one-liner is in case I
Okay.
need to
Yes.
use my in case I have to spend team selfishly.
If only to save the one to preserve the one-liner, then yes, you should roll.
All right. So I'm defending Alex, right?
You're defending. Technically, you're defending Tahi.
I feel like I'm defending Alex, but okay.
Defending Alex from themselves. I mean, you're at a perfect position to spend team selfishly.
All right. So I'm going to spend
Or-
team selfishly to bump up my savior and be like, Alex, you can't leave me alone with these people. You're the only person who gets my pop culture references.
As you're frantically blocking. And now the problem is you've kind of practiced for this. You guys have at least at some levels talked about this. Alex isn't attacking like Alex. Alex is attacking like a toddler wheeling like one of those murder robots that they have in the arena battles and stuff like that. It's just there's no pattern to it, which is difficult. But it's also clumsy and not as fast. And Alex makes things a little bit easier by just virtue of fighting the thing. So with a defend pushed up to a 10, you can pick from the list on defend, either add team to the pool. Probably not that, since you spent team selfishly to shift your labels. I leave that up to you. If you've got a way that would actually work, that's fine.
Actually,
Take influence
if we
or
had,
clear condition. Go ahead.
I was going to say, now I'll take influence over Tahi.
Oh.
You're the one who said I was defending Tahi.
You're defending
here.
Tahi. Yeah. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful because you're stepping
and
up.
I also mark potential.
Oh yeah. Oh, because of the.
I use team selfishly.
Nice. Interesting. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's happening. Block. Neo against Mr. Smith against the agent, and we will stop there instead of the other there that we were going to stop at. And I will ask. I will ask Sync. Closer to the team, further away from the team, or more into an image of yourself? That was directed to Sync. There's a long enough silence that makes me think that I wasn't clear enough.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go with me.
Okay. Alex.
I will say closer to Roddy because being taken over and losing their limbs is one of Alex's like really, really serious, deep-seated fears. And so, like being saved from that fate is pretty emotional.
That's awesome. And I'm remembering that because I feel like that any defense of your core. Don't mean this to be a pun, but it kind of works as a double entendre at least. Your core systems is going to be like that much more frantically energetic.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Excellent. So yeah, Roddy, influence there. Kiln.
Self.
Okay. Shift labels as one sees fit. Joe.
I've got to say closer to the team and Matt.
Shocking.
Diligently
Trying
to be supportive despite all of Joe's efforts to be
unsupported.
Unsupported.
Or unsupportable. Something like that.
Or yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Everyone make a surprise face that Joe picked Matt. Matt.
I am going to pick Joe because of our moment we had together.
Very nice. Very nice.
The shared vulnerability.
I'm glad that I had your character sheet open and saw that, Dave. I really, really, really am. Yay for having the sheet open. Anyway, all right. That's it. We will do this. We'll do this again next week? Question mark? I think so. I can't think of any reason.
And by the way, that actually levels me.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
That will level me as well.
Actually, I should double check because next week would be.
That's the Wednesday day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Do we want to do like Monday night instead? Is that, or is Wednesday not? Does nobody really care?
Well, James has class, so we got to make sure that it's clear with him.
I can't do Monday night. You are
Okay.
correct.
We could do. I'm kind of good for whatever night. I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking Wednesday off, and I think Dave is too. So it's not going to matter for us. It's not like I'm going to be running around getting the house ready for 30 people.
Wednesday's fine for me. The only day I can't do that week is Friday.